Hi, this is Todd Ballinger, and I am joined today with Adam Snively, one of our new power users. Welcome, Adam.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
This is part of a new series where we're going to just talk to some of the newer users to the platform to talk a little bit about what they're doing with the software, how they're using it. Now, Adam, how many years, first off, have you been in the business as a loan officer?
I've been in the business for 8 years now.
8 years. So you've been through some pretty exciting years, both up and down.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
And I know, as a loan officer, would you say you tend to hail from the liability side of the balance sheet, or?
Liabilities is really where I spend most of my focus. Yep.
Okay. And in terms of business sourcing, because that's always a question people like to know, is where would you say your business is coming from today?
With the refinance market that we're having right now, I get a lot of business from financial advisors.
Okay.
That they refer a lot of business, and then purchase as well. Have several realtors that send me a good amount of business.
Great, great. And you had said that you'd used this type of software in the past from an analytical software standpoint. So you were no stranger to the idea of creating a plan for your client. How long have you been using software in general, and how long have you been using this platform?
The analytical software I have been using for probably the past 3 or 4 years to really help show that savings. I'm kind of a numbers guy. That's the way that I think, and I think that the best way for me to explain it and to show the best benefits is this way, through analytical software. So I've been using it for 3 or 4 years. This platform is probably about the past 6 months, and I jumped over to use this because it did everything that I wanted it to, with calculating all the numbers correctly. Which, in fact, I've used some others that have had some hang-ups on that.
Awesome. So, well, let's get right into it. How would you say that on a typical day, how are you using this to differentiate yourself and add value to your clients and your referral partners and things like that?
Sure. Let me kind of start out here. Start out obviously filling out the client information, and one thing that's very important to me is, as I'm filling out the current liability section, is to have proper and exact information. So I'll have some clients that will, call and want me to, look through their mortgage, and they think their interest rate is maybe around 5 and an 8, 5 and a quarter. Can't remember exactly, and I don't know if the mortgage balance that I looked at was maybe around 400 or 420. To them, not that big of a deal. They don't think about it on a daily basis. But what's important to me, in order for them to have buy-in and in order to give me credibility, is having those exact numbers. So taking that step and saying, I need your exact rate and I need your mortgage balance. So I will often tell them to grab their mortgage statement, so when we talk, we can get those exact figures. So to me, this is foundational. I really have that, around maybe to 500 or so, but I try to keep that mortgage balance as close to their mortgage balance as possible. Get it, the payment all the way to the penny, again, to get that credibility.
Yeah, I've had some people say that they're going out and they'll kind of pull a credit report first and pull that information, and before they meet with the client, they'll go ahead and get the liability set up in the software and then just basically interview the client. Have you done that, or do you pretty much collect the information directly from the client?
I've done a little bit of that. Credit report can be even off by a couple months, and again, sometimes people, don't think in exact terms. But I'll find that even sometimes that credit balance will be, a month or two off, and sometimes on a 15-year fix, that can be quite a bit of difference in principal. So again, I like them to know that the information that they gave me directly off the statement is what I am using.
And do you find that, because some people ask, well, when do you use this? Do you typically, is this a sort of a first, when you first talk to a client or prospect or referral, are you going kind of right into this at that point?
Yeah, so if I'll get referred, to somebody, and generally, my referral partner knows exactly what I do. In fact, I, copy them on a lot of the emails. and they're prepared. I'll even often tell them, if your client can have this information ready, or if they want to email it to me, this is the kind of pre-interview. This is what I need before we can go through the specifics.
Great. So sometimes you'll actually give the referral partners a copy of the information that you need so they can go and get that to you when you're going to meet with a client.
That's right. Yep.
Great. So you get some basic information here on the eligibility side. Then what do you do next?
So I go ahead and go straight to the analyze portion,
okay,
and go ahead and click over here. And so, first, I don't necessarily use the suitability, but I'm asking a lot of those same questions of, what's the goal of this mortgage?
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a lot of people, quite a few people that I refinanced from, probably, last year sometimes when rates were down, when we were on a 30-year or a 15-year, and they're now shortening their term to a 20-year or to a 15-year,
mm-hmm.
Sometimes a 10-year. So I'm having a lot of people wanting to take advantage of the interest rates, don't necessarily want to put their money in the stock market, and would rather pay down that mortgage faster, have a guaranteed return.
Gotcha.
So in this instance, this is a client that has a $410,000 mortgage, and what I'm doing is I'm comparing a 15 and a 20-year fix. So I fill in the loan amounts, put in the interest rates, and then I'll scroll down here and put in the closing costs, which are going to be about the same for both. Now, one thing I'll say is that on this payment step here, I do not put in the taxes or the homeowner's insurance. I don't always know that. It's a little bit more deeper than some people have at their fingertips. So I try to keep it just the principal and interest, and we'll add in whatever else to look at that monthly payment.
Gotcha.
But what we're looking at here is the closing costs, about again $2,000 that I compare for them. What I will typically do is I scroll down here. I'll really focus on one or two choices here. Again, depending on the purpose of the refinance. In this case, it's just a rate and term we're trying to pay down. I always come down to this to the total savings analysis, and I will look at this prepayment comparison over 1 year. The purpose is they want to save as much money as they can. They want to pay down their mortgage as quick as they can rather than save. So I will focus in on this payment comparison. A lot of times, Todd, to me, it's so important to keep everything simple, to not overwhelm the client with information. Sometimes this payment comparison can overwhelm a little bit. Sometimes the equity comparison. Now, not everyone, but what I'll think in my mind is, don't sell somebody a Cadillac when all they're looking for is a Chevy.
Sure.
And so if I can just look at this pre-tax interest, which I find has the majority of the information there, we'll look at the house value, look at the mortgage balance, which to me does the same as the equity comparison up top here, and we're comparing how much they're paying down their mortgage with a 15 versus a 20-year over here. Then we'll look at the savings and the interest, and this, of course, is comparing in this instance at least, it's comparing the payment comparison over the first year of $9,603, includes the closing cost of $2,000, and it's looking at that total extra outlay that they would have, but subtracting it from the house value along with the mortgage liabilities, giving us that total savings. And let me say this, to me, what is very important here is 1 year. I want to look at a 1 to 2 year time frame. I always tell people it needs to make sense, particularly on a rate and term, if we're doing it in the first year or two. We need to gain our closing costs back. It needs to have a positive break even after that time. So if I can do it in 1 year, I show them that after 1 year, they already have a savings of $2,315.
That's very powerful. So you're really simplifying, going right down and saying, here's your first column, which is doing nothing, and here's what's on. I can already see at the very bottom, I mean, they're 347 months away from being debt-free versus 246 versus 274, but I like the way that you're just simply kind of going right to this idea of let's look at the first year, and if you can show someone that net they're ahead after 12 months, you know it's only going to get better in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and 5 years.
Absolutely, and what also, to me, what is so important is, again, that first 12 to 24 months, and that is absolutely key. Showing them that it makes sense. Yep.
So you can see there the opening balance is the negative 2,000 for their closing costs, and they could also see above that they had a negative cash flow position, right? When you kind of compare side by side, they were going to be coming out of pocket with some additional cash flow. But then you're seeing how that plays out in the form of additional equity. And what would you show them the first year, and then do you tend to kind of slide it across and go out over some period of time?
Exactly. Yes, I will. I'll do that. And let me say this real quick. What I was going to say is, to me, it's all about doing nothing right now in this column. Their current. If they do nothing, that's okay. But show them what they're missing out on, and that to me is powerful. It's all about getting them to move from doing nothing to doing something, to choosing one of the choices. And so this to me is so powerful, being side by side. That right there gets. I've had many people move it just because they can see the savings right there.
That's great.
And so what I'll do is one of two things. Since you have made some changes with the software, based on user feedback, which I have been so impressed with, a lot of times I will go ahead and say here at this prepayment comparison and slide it. Slide it out. Grab the wrong one. Slide it out here to about 15 years to show them the total savings that they're going to have. Which you can see is very powerful. To see that number, this client actually happens to be a doctor who has every intention of staying in his home for 15 years. So to see that is extremely powerful. And one other thing that I do sometimes, not every time, but I'll go to this repay screen, and sometimes I will have, and to me it matters to say there is going to be an $800 difference that they're going to be paying more per month. And so if I have a smart borrower that's saying, well, okay, what happens though if I prepay that mortgage? If I prepay my current mortgage $800, what happens then? Which is to me a very good question. So what I will do then sometime is come to this repay screen and show them and expand the repayment cost to show them the interest that they're going to pay. To show them here the $800. Let me put that in here. And to show that as prepaying the mortgage. And let's see here. Maybe doing
just delete it in the spin because it's defaulting to spin that 800 as opposed to save or prepay.
Can I slide this?
Yep. And delete it from the orange box there where it says, because it's saying, hey, there's 800
that
available. And they can spend it, they can save it, or they can prepay it. So
all right.
Now put it, there you go, and then slide it all the way over. So that's cool. So you're kind of answering that objection in advance to say, look, you could just stay with what you've got now and prepay that extra money, but you're not going to be as far along as you would be with your particular recommendation. Exactly.
And so in this case right here, if they prepay that 800, you're looking at a net savings of $55,182. Still over 15 years, huge savings.
Mm-hmm.
And again, not every time and not every case does this work, but on some instances when we're the term is lower, I'm doing that just to show them the total savings even with prepaying.
That's great. And then and then how do you wrap it up for the client? Do you typically generate a report, or they come into your office? Or are you doing a desktop share? What's your default?
I'll either do like a desktop share, or even I'm sure users are familiar with Jing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a recording of what I'm going over. If I'm not able to talk in person, I love to talk in person to get feedback to make sure there's not any confusion. But a lot of times what I'll do is I'll do the cover. I'll send them the cover, the alternative liabilities, And then again, since you've made some of those changes, which have been wonderful, a lot of times that's all I'll do to keep everything simple. The other categories that I would go to sometimes are the current liabilities. If I'm doing something, for example, that I just showed you, and they're proposed. But a lot of times that's where I'll stay so that I don't overwhelm them. Mm-hmm. They're able to gain the knowledge, gain the information, and have the facts, but not overload them.
Yeah, we say that, we're going to do the math for you, and the magic, which is going to be your role, is really how do you look at the goals of the client and decide for yourself what to show the client, because there's so much you can do here. And if you've got a very analytical engineer type, you take the time to go into more detail and look at AM tables. Yeah. But if you got a doctor who's just looking to save some money, you can simply show them that, hey, over 15 years, this is going to save you $120,000. That's net of your closing costs. Would you like to save $120,000? It's not like rocket science.
Exactly.
Well, that is awesome. So this has had a positive impact on your business, Adam?
Oh, it's been phenomenal. I think more than anything, it has moved people from just kind of, even past clients that I have, and it puts things in black and white, and it shows them very quickly and succinctly. This is the savings, not going from 5% down to 4.5%. Boy, you're gonna save a lot of money. No, you're gonna save $120,000 by doing this, and putting that number. People remember that number. In fact, a lot of times what I will do is at the closing table, and this is for my sake and kind of down the road of marketing myself, is giving them this report again, saying, remember the savings, and that's at closing. That we did this in the beginning, and this is why we're doing this. But I want to follow up at the very end and give this to you so that you remember this is the savings. By doing this, this is how much you're going to save over the years. Yeah,
because that's the big win. You want to be there for the big win.
Absolutely.
Well, I really appreciate your time. I know you had a lot of other things you could talk about, but I just want to give folks a quick insight into the mind of a current user and how you're using it and how it's helping you. And I know everyone will appreciate, again, the insight and just the fact that you're keeping it so simple for your clients and using it as a tool to move them forward to do what's right for them.
Yes, you're welcome.
Great. Thanks, Adam. Talk to you soon, my friend.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.